Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to Retold, a Harry Potter podcast. This is a show for Harry Potter fans new and old alike to listen and hopefully enhance their enjoyment of the wizarding world just a little more. My name is Barry, and every week I sit down with another Harry Potter fan and we go through the books 2 chapters at a time. We usually start off with some trivia. We recap the chapters, and then we have some fun segments after each chapter discussion where we talk about our favorite lines, changes that the movies made from each chapter, and we also discuss some deep lore things. And at the very end of the episode, we have a spoiler section called the restricted section. Ooh. This week, I'll be sitting down with another friend of mine, Katelynn, and we will be discussing chapters 7 and 8 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the Sorting Hat, and the Potions Master. I don't have a lot of house elf keeping things to start off, but this week, just so you know, you will only hear me pop back into the episode once to ask you guys your Quizzits question for the week. Other than that, the big thing I wanted to let y'all know is that this was actually the very last episode I recorded for book 1. You see, I recorded all the episodes to start before I started releasing them, but when I came back to edit this one, my audio was garbage. Couldn't use it, so I had to redo it all. I say that just to let you know that I may get a little lost in my notes at some points, but Katelynn is always there to help me out each time. Anyway, this is a really enjoyable episode for me to make and for me to listen to. Katelynn is an excellent co-host, and I hope y'all enjoy this episode just as much as I did. Also, please feel free to reach out to me if you want to send me a comment, owl post, or howler. You can email me at theretoldpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Instagram at theretoldpodcast. I've been loving the love that this show is getting. If you got some Harry Potter fans in your life, please share it with them, and I look forward to hearing from y'all. Anyway, enjoy the show.
See, I know Hufflepuff.
I don't care how big they are! Can we find all this in London?
If you know where to go.
Not that you need it, eh, Potter?
Wingardium Leviosa. Wicked.
Password. It's Caput Draconis.
This is light.
Thought you ought to know.
Hello, everybody. With me today on our episode of Retold, we have Katelynn. Hi, Katelynn.
Hi.
Katelynn's a super awesome person. Glad to have her here. I will let her introduce herself, though. So, Katelynn, I will ask you now what your fandom ID is. And so sort of just to get to know who you are and your association with Harry Potter. So take it away. What's your house? What's your favorite book, your favorite movie, and how'd you get into Potter?
So every time I tell someone what my house is, they don't really believe me at first. My house is Slytherin.
I could buy it.
Really? You're like the only person who ever can. Although I did take the test, like that was like back in like middle school. So it's like angsty middle schooler. So who really knows if that's still where I am?
Have you not retaken it since then?
I haven't. But maybe I'll do that after this.
I go back every once in a while and I'm like, just to be sure. And then sometimes it's funny if you take like random ones online, not the official Harry Potter website one, you can kind of finagle those. They ask you questions that you're like, oh, I can change it.
Yeah, what's your favorite color? Green.
But if you take the Pottermore, whatever it's called Harry Potter now, just harrypotter.com.
Oh, okay.
They changed it again. If you take that one, you have no idea. They're always like, which picture do you like more? And it has I have no idea.
I had to do that one. I think they ask you something about like what potion you would take. And it's like, I don't know. They all seem cool, I guess.
I had a friend come on and she was like, she said she had gotten Ravenclaw every single time, except for there was one time when she was hungry, she took the test and she got Hufflepuff. I was like, that's perfect.
I love that. But yeah, so I'm Slytherin. Most people don't believe that, but
what do they typically think you are?
Hufflepuff.
Okay.
A lot of people think I'm Hufflepuff, and maybe I am. Who knows?
I'll just have Ravenclaw because you're like
really
smart C's and stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. My favorite book actually is the first one I read, which was the third book. I didn't read them in order because I guess this is tied into how did I get into this. I never owned the books. Like I mentioned, like to you before we started recording, like I didn't own the books until I was probably in high school.
Would you just check them out from the library or something?
My science teacher in 6th grade had the books in like her little classroom library, and she didn't have them all, so I just grabbed whichever one looked interesting, and it was Prisoner of Azkaban. And I read that one. I was like, oh my God, this is like a great series. I love this. And I read them. I feel like I might have even read like the 4th one before I read the 1st and 2nd. But I have a really bad habit of doing that for most series. Like Percy Jackson, I read Son of Neptune before I read the first series.
No way.
I did. Because in 5th grade,
there's so much context.
I know. I was like, man, this is great. It would be even better if I knew it was happening. But yeah, so that's like how I got into it. It was kind of like right in middle school that I was peak Harry Potter. I was really into British media, so like Doctor Who, Sherlock, Harry Potter. That was like my thing in like 7th grade. I was really a annoying middle schooler, I'm sure.
You've said it and now it's stuck in my head. Son of Neptune. That one ticks me off. Not because of the story, really, but because I don't read. I listen to Audible, and that one's the only one that's not on Audible.
It's not on Audible,
and the whole series is on it. Of both the regular Percy Jackson, then Heroes of Olympus, and the Trials of Apollo, and now the newest one's coming out. But Son of Neptune is not there, and so I got a weird jank account like audiobooks.com, and I ended up forgetting to cancel my subscription like 3 months, but I had to listen to it on some random thing that does not have a good interface.
Right. But I never know.
Anyway, back to Harry Potter.
My favorite movies are the first 2, the ones directed by Christopher Columbus, because I love how like warm and like cozy they are. They feel like Christmas movies, even though there's like 2 scenes in each of the movies that are set at Christmas time, because they're just so comforting and warm. And like I just actually, me and my boyfriend just rewatched all of the movies for the first time, for him at least, because he hadn't seen, he's weird, he saw like the last movies in theaters, but he didn't see the first ones ever. So I was like, we have to get that done. So, but like those were our favorite ones because they're just so comforting.
And they're classics.
They are classics.
Like if whatever, I don't know what qualifies as a classic. I feel like in my head there's just some random it factor, X factor. That's like, that's a classic. To me, those are classics. They're just wonderful.
They're so good.
Yeah, I think you're one of the first people to actually say that the first 2 are your favorite. Do you like the second one a lot?
I do really like the second one.
That's like the least favorite of people.
Really?
Or a lot of people say they're all good movies, but if I were to hate any of them, it'd be the second.
That's crazy.
Did you know it's the longest, the second movie?
Yeah.
That's crazy. It was too. Like one of the shortest books, and they were like, why not?
It's so good. I love it.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Love the whole series.
Right.
But as it goes, there is something that kind of leaves, maybe that childlike wonder.
It probably, I think it is that because, like the series gets darker as it goes on, but those first 2 books and movies, you're still kind of filled with the same kind of wonder that Harry feels, where he's like, oh my gosh, this is all new. I don't know anything that's going on, and it's so cool, and it's so different from what I'm used to.
Yeah, they're very fantastical, very whimsical. That's the word we use here a lot, whimsical. I love whimsy. And those movies got it in spades.
Yeah.
Well, let's hop into it now. So what we're going to do next is our Quizzitch section.
Okay.
So to sort of explain it, I've been doing this with every single guest. I believe that I know more about Harry Potter than anybody else who's ever lived. Of course, that's got to be true.
Well, yes.
So my guests represent the world, and I obviously represent me. And at the end of book 1, season 1, we'll find out who knew more, the world or me.
Okay.
And this is kind of interesting because listeners may not know, I'll probably say it in the intro, but we had to go back and redo this episode. So this will determine whether I know more or the world knows more.
You're getting a second shot at this.
I don't even remember what the score is, so I don't know. But I think it's like, if it's not tied, it's just a 1 point difference.
It's like a 50-50.
We'll ask each other 2 questions.
Okay.
Or how many do you have written down?
I mean, I have 3, but
we can do 3. I have 3.
Easy. Okay,
we can
cool.
do 3.
Yeah.
People love trivia, so let's do this.
Trivia.
All right, you first.
Okay. I'll start with an easy one. What day was Gringotts broken into?
Oh, a Saturday?
I don't know. I mean,
What do you
like
mean you
calendar,
don't-
like calendar day. I don't know what days of the week it
Ask the
was.
question. What do you mean you don't
No.
know? It was the day that Hagrid took him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What's the answer?
31st of July.
31st. Oh, because it was his birthday. I could have just thought. I could have just thought, and I would have
You gotta
known.
put your thinking cap on.
Yeah. Dang it. Okay, so I'm down one.
Yeah, you are.
Shoot.
I'm
Okay.
holding fingers up.
What house is Hannah Abbott sorted into?
Hufflepuff.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I mean, good job.
Thank you.
So happy for you. Yay. I'm one of those people that can be happy for others when they succeed and I don't.
Right.
For
no,
sure.
totally. Absolutely. That's like a totally normal thing I can do.
Yeah. All right. What's the next one?
Okay. How did Neville and his family find out that he had magic?
His uncle threw him out a window and he bounced. Well, he dropped him. He didn't mean to throw him, but he dropped.
Okay, I was about to
bounced.
ding you because
Yeah.
he didn't throw him out the window. He dropped him. What was he?
Know about Bumbles?
Huh?
Bumbles bounce.
Bumbles.
Do you know what that's from?
No.
I hate that nobody knows that anymore.
What in the
It's from
world?
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. When Yukon, did you ever see the old claymation?
Yeah.
When Yukon Cornelia, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen that movie.
This like 60-year-old.
Yeah, but when he falls off the cliff, when he's fighting the abominable snowman, they're like, Yukon died. And they get back to Santa's workshop, and all of a sudden, Yukon and the abominable come back in. And they're like, how did you survive? And he goes, well, you don't know about Bumbles. Bumbles bounce. And that's one of my favorite one-liners ever.
That's so
Bumbles
ridiculous.
bounce. So Neville, he a Bumble, is confirmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I got one. Okay, what is the password to the Gryffindor common room?
Oh, it's like Draconis something. It's Latin.
It is Latin.
Draconis Grande. I think Grande.
That's Spanish.
Yeah, that's Spanish.
Capit Draconis.
Capit Draconis.
I'm gonna say a half a point. Half a point. Because I have been awarding half points. So
Oh, I love that.
there we go. All right. It's you. You next.
My turn?
Mhm.
Okay, so Snape asks Harry 3 questions.
Mhm.
And I'm not asking what those 3 questions are. I guess I'm asking what are the answers to those 3 questions.
I don't even get the questions.
Nuh-uh.
Oh my goodness, that is so heavy. Okay, I would say one of them is when you combine the two, it creates the draft of living death.
Mhm.
Okay. One of them, there is no difference.
Yeah.
And then the other, the stomach of a goat. You find a bezoar in the stomach of a goat. Is that what he asked?
Yes.
Yes.
Dude,
Yes.
that's
Let's
awesome.
go.
Oh my
Let's
gosh.
go.
That's
Fantastic.
impressive.
Yeah, he says, I'm listening to, like I re-listened to it today on the Jim Dale Audible version.
Mm.
Oh, I always got to ask too, have you listened to audiobook versions of these books?
I read them all.
Oh,
I don't listen to
I'm
audiobooks.
better than most people.
Yeah, I'm better than you. I read.
Yeah. No, anyway, in the Jim Dale version, he called it a bourgeois. And I was like, the frick?
A bourgeois.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a bezoar, bro.
I don't think that's the same.
But anyway, okay, so here's your question.
Okay.
What type of potion do they make in potions class? What does it do?
Oh,
What's it supposed to do?
It cures boils.
That's right.
But Neville messes it up.
Very good. You know what? 1.5 points. So I give you an
What do you
even
mean
2.
1.5?
So you get that even 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we ended 2-2 on this one.
Yeah, we did. So that's a half. I don't know how many points I get to in the long run, but
Yeah, we'll see. We'll count it up at the very end.
exactly.
We didn't change anything today. We just made it the same.
No, nothing changed.
But except I had fun.
Hello, everyone. Popping back in to let you know the current score of the Book 1 Quizzitch competition and ask you your questions. So first of all, the score as it stands currently is 10-10. Before this episode, it was 8-8, and you just heard us go tit for tat on these questions. So I am currently tied with the world. Anyway, your question, here it is. Can you give me the name of the very first person sorted into a house at the sorting ceremony? I mentioned what house they are sorted into later in this discussion because it's a pretty cool house. But can you give me their name? There you go. that's your question for the week. As I said earlier, you can email me your answers at theretoldpodcast@gmail.com or message me on Instagram at theretoldpodcast. Anyway, back to the show.
Very good. All right. So that's the end of our quiz section. So listeners, what we're about to do now, I got to open up my book to the where we're going. We're about to do our retelling of chapter 7 and 8, the Sorting Hat and the Potion Master. And what we do is I will do a retelling, scene by scene commentary, line by line commentary. Katelynn she can talk if she wants. She can stay quiet if she wants, whatever.
I love to yap. So.
This and yap.
Yes.
And then at the end, we'll go through our favorite lines because we love favorite lines and our transfiguration section as well. We'll highlight differences between the movie and the book. And then our golden snitch section, which will have cool little lore tidbits and stuff like, oh, who's that guy on the chocolate frog cart? And then at the end of all that, or then we'll do chapter 8. And then after that, same type of thing, favorite lines,
other stuff.
Transfiguration and golden snitches, and then the restricted section. Because while this is not necessarily a spoiler-free podcast, we do like to keep the spirit alive. So that section is for people who don't want major spoilers. So you have been warned. Anyway, let's hop into it. So
let's go.
My overall thoughts on chapter 7. This is funny because I haven't. It's been so long since I looked at these notes. So we're all flying by the seat of our pants here. I don't know what I'm about to say looking at my old notes. But I wrote down way back when, I love how I do know this. I love how good of a headmaster Dumbledore is and how much he loves his students. There's a lot of good Dumbledore moments in this chapter.
No, there really is.
Like him just looking out and saying, I think the narrator says he was looking at them as if he loved nothing more than the fact that they were students here learning or something like that.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Any opening thoughts for you before we begin?
No, so when we were talking about this, me coming on here, I did say that my favorite part, at least in the movies, is when they get to Hogwarts for the first time and you're seeing everything with them for the first time. We'll talk about it more in the movie part, I guess. But this is probably one of my favorite parts of the books and of the series in general, is when they're discovering all of this for the first time with us. It's we are there with them. It's really cool.
Yeah, my favorite podcast, we mentioned it before we started recording, Streaming Things, they were reviewing these movies, and when they were talking about, I'll say it here because it's in the previous chapter, but when they were going across the lake and you see Hogwarts for the first time, one of them was like, why do you think they have to go across the lake? Why can't they just take the carriages with everybody else? And somebody was like, oh, you got to get that money shot of Hogwarts over the lake, lit up at night, let them know what the tuition's for, and all that type that get them. And yes, listeners, I know Hogwarts is technically tuition free. But anyway, I got to be clear because I'm going to get
public
emails.
Education system.
That's right. So here we go. Just to recap, Hagrid had, like we said, taken the kids to the school, knocked on the door, and here we go. So Hagrid just blah, 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 blah. He knocked 3 times, and who opens the door? It's McGoogles. And Harry's first reaction is, I should not mess with her. And no, you should not, Harry.
I love that this is immediate. He's like, I can't mess with this woman.
She's a tough one to cross.
Exactly.
Hagrid hands the first years off to her, and they walk into the entrance hall, and it is massive. So massive, in fact, little Harry can't even see the top of it. Says he looks up and he's like, well, I don't even know. McGoogles leads them to a small chamber through on the side and makes them stand super close together. And she gives them orientation. She says, hey, y'all, we got some great food in there, some really nice eats. But before you can eat, you got to get sorted into your houses. It's a super cool thing where we put you into groups and make you fight each other. These groups are Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin.
Yeah.
If you are a good student, you'll get points for your house. And if you're a bad student, then you'll lose points. Then she tells them to smarten up before they go in, especially Neville and Ron. I like that note where it says her eyes lingered on them. I had the wonderful privilege of having a very old British lady as my English teacher when I was in middle and high school. She would, I think of McGonagall I think of her when I think of McGonagall, because they would say the same things, and that phrase "smarten up." I was a student in the late 2000s and early 2010s, and she was using those phrases of "look smart for your pictures today."
Right, that's so cute.
Again, there will be tangents. Feel free to make your own. One of my favorite moments with her in class was we were giving oral presentations, and this one girl, she's up there, and all of a sudden, like, her eyes are like people can't see, but her eyes are starting to roll to the back of her head.
Oh my gosh.
And we had no idea what was happening.
Right.
This like 75-year-old British woman stands up. She's in the back of the class, stands up and power walks to the front of the class,
Oh my gosh.
catches the girl as she falls to the ground, and they both fall to the floor together.
Oh
and
my gosh.
my really old British teacher on her knees with this girl in her lap, in her arms, like the freaking picture of Mary and Jesus, you know, that famous statue.
Yes.
And she brushes the girl's hair out of her face, and she says, "Dear, did you have a good breakfast today?"
My God.
That was what she said in response to the girl passing out. Did you have a good breakfast today?
I do love like older teachers and professors because they are so like eccentric and stuff. Because a lot of times they've been there for a while, so they can kind of just do whatever they want and like not. At least like professors and stuff.
So anyway, where are we? Then she tells them smart enough. She walks out, and they start wondering how they will get sorted into their house. Harry is nervous. He's like, "A test? I don't even know any spells yet. This is bullcrap."
I do like that Ron is like, "Oh, Fred said it hurts a lot." So what were they saying that they were going to have to do for this test? Are they like, "We're going to torture you a little bit just to see how strong you are, and that determines what house you go into"?
That'd be something Fred would do for sure. I don't think he ever told them what it was, but just to mess with him, he's like, "I think it hurts a lot, Ron. So
yeah,
good luck."
I was limping for a while.
Hermione is repeating all the spells she knows. All of a sudden, everybody screams. Why? Because of the ghosties. Lots of them just moving along. I like how it says they barely glanced at the first years. And so it made me remember the school that I went to. It was 7th grade through senior year. And so I just remember like in senior year, whenever new 7th graders would show up, you're like, "Who are these kids?" Like you don't pay attention to
them.
When you're an 8th grader, it's like 7th graders are really important. But then later, as a kid, just the distance grows, you're like, same thing in youth group. As new kids come into the middle school youth group and you're in high school, you're like, I don't know
who any of these people are.
I don't need them. I'm just going to keep moving. Anyway, and that's kind of what the ghosts are like. We've been here forever.
Yeah, it's been several hundred years that they've been here. They've seen several thousand students, I'm sure.
Come and go.
They don't care.
Yeah. But they are debating what they should do with that rascal Peeves. And then the ghosts are like, "What are y'all doing here?" And one ghost, the Fat Friar, says these are first years, and they're about to be sorted. Also, hope y'all get sorted into my house, which is Hufflepuff. Fantastic. I agree. Even I wrote this note here. Even McGonagall doesn't care about Hufflepuff because she cuts off his sales pitch like right in the middle. And she's just like, "All right, y'all, time to go into the Great Hall."
Like, we don't care.
Yeah, forget the house. Not Griffey. Great Hall, it's dope. Thousands of floating candles light up the place. 4 long tables. There's gold cutlery and a really cool ceiling that shows the night sky outside. It's amazing. I love that passage.
I do too.
Might be my favorite lines. Spoiler. But they go to the front of the room in front of all the other students, and Magoogs puts out a stool and a really old wizard hat. I said I like this line about Aunt Petunia wouldn't have liked the hat.
Aunt Petunia wouldn't have let it in the house.
That's right.
Because it was patched, frayed, and extremely dirty.
And I think this is a really good call out because it's reminding the reader that this is nothing like his old home. Nothing like he's ever seen. Aunt Petunia wouldn't like this.
And it shows also just the impact that the Dursleys had on Harry. I mean, this whole thing is completely new to him, yes, but also it's like he would have never even imagined anything like this happening. He would have never imagined a patchy, dusty, like wizard's hat in his life, probably. I was going to say, sorry. I do like that Harry thinks, well, maybe we have to try and get a rabbit out of the hat.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's like, I don't know about wizards, but I do know
Harry,
magicians.
That's stereotyping wizards, Harry. I'm not okay with that.
No, that's kind of problematic of you, Harry.
He wouldn't make it today. Harry is scared he's going to have to pull a rat. Oh, I wrote that down too. Fantastic. All of a sudden, the hat starts singing. I said I won't sing the song, but these are the lines I really like. So there's a few of them in here that I thought were clever or funny. He said, "I'll eat myself if you can find a smarter hat than me."
Normal response.
Sounds funny to me. I'm just going to eat myself.
Yeah.
I can cap them all. That's a good line.
Like that one.
Because he's a hat. You get it?
Do you get the joke?
And he says, or perhaps in Slytherin you'll make your real friends. Those cunning folks use any means to achieve their ends. So he's telling us from the beginning, hey, these people are evil.
Yeah, she really, like, J.K. Rowling was not subtle at all. That she's like, Slytherin is the bad house. Those are evil people.
I do appreciate the retconning, though, that it's gone into place since to say, like, you know, there have been a bunch of good Slytherins, you know, like, Merlin, all those people.
Good people. Good Slytherins.
This was just a bad time for them.
Yeah.
Right? They were in their emo
the
era.
90s were a rough time period for the Slytherin
For
house.
a lot of people.
Well,
for a lot of people.
I would argue.
And then the last one, and don't get in a flap. You're in safe hands, though I have none. Oh, so clever.
For I'm thinking Cap.
Oh, I can cap them all. So the hat bows and finishes, and I like that. I like that he bowed. But anyway, they basically just have to try the hat on, and it will look into their brain and decide where is best to put them.
That seems invasive.
I was about to say.
That seems really invasive, and I don't know.
I don't like that for 11-year-olds. Like, my note was, Ron acts like that's nothing, but I'm with Harry. That sounds terrifying, because it's like, that's not okay.
No, that's like, I'm sorry, you're reading my mind. First of all, get out of there. Those are my thoughts, not yours. But also, they are doing this in front of the entire school, all of the professors. I'm sure Filch is in there somewhere.
And I like in the movie, the hat just talks
out loud,
says everything. In the book, I like that he's just talking to Harry, and then he makes the announcement. I'm sure the only reason they did that in the movie is so we could hear what was going on,
right?
But still, I'm like, what does that hat know? What does the hat know? And also, there's some things the hat probably should have reported. I'm just saying,
probably.
Like, you know, you got to catch certain signs. You know, report home if you see something bad.
I'm sure Draco had a lot of those things where he should have gone, Hey, Dumbledore, I think I'm noticing some sketchy things in this Malfoy kid.
This hat might have prevented Voldemort.
He could have.
If he had known.
You know what? That's actually kind of scary that he didn't.
Problematic hat.
I'm canceling the hat.
Cancel the hat. Harry says he's queasy. Where is that? If only the hat had mentioned a house for people who felt a bit queasy. That would have been the one for him. I like that. And with that, so the sorting begins. Anyway, it's of note that the very first and second people to ever get sorted, Hannah Abbott and Susan Bones, are Hufflepuffs.
All right.
That's pretty cool.
Right.
Anyway, some people get sorted into each house. Some more people get sorted in each house. Someone gets sorted into Slytherin, and Harry's like, yeah,
full stroke.
I hate the way those people look. He just looks over like, they do look sketch.
I'm sure. I mean, you know, like we mentioned, the 90s, rough time for everybody.
That's right. It was their emo phase.
Exactly.
I said, Harry has some elementary school flashbacks. What am I talking about there?
I don't know. He remembered being picked last for teams during gym at his old school.
Poor Harry.
He'd always been chosen last, not because he was no good, but because no one wanted Dudley to think they liked him.
I was always chosen second to last. So
I was a frequent last, but I'm not good at sports, so that's probably why.
And you probably didn't care.
No, I really didn't, because I didn't want to be on those teams. I was not a sports enjoyer.
You're over there going, maybe if I'm last, they might not make me play.
Yes, please, don't make me play. When we would play like kickball and stuff in elementary school, I'd be like, oh, when it was my turn to kick the ball, because it's not going anywhere. That's not going anywhere.
Oh, they do the rule of like, you didn't kick it far enough. You got to redo.
I don't like guys. Stop. I think that's where my social anxiety stemmed from, actually, is being forced to re-kick the ball.
Oh, come on. And so I said, why does it take so long for Seamus to get sorted? So it does say it takes him like 2 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think? We'll talk about, you know, hat stalls later, but what do you think was the other option for him? Like, I thought maybe Hufflepuff, just because he's so
he is kind of nice.
Fun.
He's a sweet dude.
Yeah.
He's a sweet little Irish dude.
Listeners, write in. What do you think? But anyway, got to get that fan interaction, you know? Yeah. So Hermione gets sorted into Gryffindor. Ron doesn't like that don't worry, Ron, you will one day.
Eventually.
Harry thinks, what if I don't get sorted at all
Oh.
and have to go home? Poor Harry. And like he thinks this a lot throughout this first book, especially of like when he gets in trouble, they're going to send me back. This trauma's not good on. It's really messing with him a lot.
Is already such a traumatized kid. And then he gets to Hogwarts and it's just like thing after thing after thing. And he's like, just bam, build up that trauma.
Yeah, the first nice thing ever given to him, and he's like, they're going to take it away. If I mess up one time, they're going to take it away. Please don't.
I just want to give him a hug. This poor little kid.
Neville falls on his way up to get sorted, which is very Neville. He goes to Gryffindor, though, and runs off with the hat on accident, and he's got to bring it back. Also, he kind of took a while, too. And I'll get to that. Remember, don't let me forget that.
That's like a spoiler.
Yeah, not necessarily, but a golden snitch thing. It's good. Malfoy gets sorted into Slytherin, and that happens really quick. And so do Crabbe and Goyle. And it says he swaggers when he walks. Oh, I want to talk about this. Like, J.K. Rowling, when talking about Malfoy, was like, I'm not going to do an accent for her, but like, she's made it clear, like, I understand why a lot of these young girls really like Malfoy because Tom Felton's an attractive guy and all that, but he is not a good person. My intent was not to make people like him. And there's a huge Draco fandom out there of people that love him. Yes, there is. And I was like, listen, if you didn't want people to like him, you shouldn't have said that he had swag. Like right here, walking up, so he swaggered up. I was like, I got swag. You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. Finally, Harry gets called up and everybody's interested. I like in the movie, even Dumbledore, when he gets called, like sits up straight. Yeah. Like, what are we about here? So he gets called. Harry's looking at the inside of the hat and it starts talking to him. The hat basically says, bro, you got a great mind, which is an awesome compliment. I want that compliment.
I imagine that hat has seen plenty of good minds.
So. And plenty of bad minds. Oh, he can tell them apart. He's like, you're a good noodle. And I think you should be in Slytherin. And Harry says, no, please, I don't want to go Slytherin. That's where the bully is.
Please, no.
That's where the antagonist of the story is. I don't want to go there. And the hat's like, true. You'd be really awesome, though. But if you don't, I guess we can put you in Gryffindor. So Harry gets the biggest cheer yet. And we get into like this Percy the Prefect line, where it says, Percy the Prefect got up and shook his hand vigorously. And there's plenty of moments like that in this book where, like, and before it said, it called Neville the toadless boy. I like these fun little descriptions. Oh, this is a sports draft for the Weasleys because they're like, we got Potter.
I could see the Weasleys being on sports betting and stuff.
Oh, they definitely are.
What are those apps? Fanatics?
Oh, yeah. There's FanDuel. This is an advertisement for them.
Not an advertisement. No free advertisement.
So a ghost touches Harry's arm, and he doesn't like that. Says it feels like cold water or ice bath, something like that. Harry scopes out the teachers at the high table, and then remembers Ron hasn't been sorted yet. So he looks back and he's like, oh, my buddy, where's he going? Looks back and we wait for Ron to get sorted. And where does Ron go? Gryffindor. They congratulate Ron, and then the last student, Blaise Zabini, which is a sick name.
That is
really
cool.
All the names that were made from the random generator.
That's
the coolest one. And he sorted into Slytherin. I like that, like in the movies, this guy's never mentioned until the 6th movie.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't appear at all.
I do like, though, that they will mention somebody and then you'll just immediately forget about them for like several books. And then, 6th book, you're hearing about them again. Because it is kind of reminiscent of like high school and college where you're like, I'm not in that person's immediate circle.
You are real.
I don't know anything about this person, but hey, it's great that we're in a class together again.
But what a waste of a name to not use that for longer.
That is true.
It's such a sick
Blaise
name.
Zabini is a good one.
And give a little more representation in the first few movies. At this moment, Harry realizes how hungry he is. Dumbledore welcomes everyone. You can pick that up if you want. That's all right. Listeners won't mind. We got to get our phones. So Dumbledore welcomes everyone, and I love this. He knows the students are hungry, and he's like, I'm not going to do a long speech. He basically pulls a Rufio from Hook. This is what I wrote. Have you ever seen Hook?
I have. It's been ages.
Rufio, that for listeners who don't know, Hook, incredible Peter Pan movie, live action, starring Robin Williams as Peter Pan. He's like an adult Peter Pan. The main character, or not the main character, one of the characters who's now the leader of the Lost Boys, his name is Rufio. It's the same guy that does the voice for Zuko in
Oh,
Avatar: The Last
really?
Airbender. And whenever they, I wrote this down because in that movie, when they go to say grace, like they're all the Lost Boys are sitting at the table, which that spread amazing. Google the spread, is what the Lost Boys eat. It looks amazing. Look at this cool pudding type stuff. Anyway, they're all sitting at the table. And Rufio goes, let's say grace. And Robin Williams, he puts his head down and he says like a quick but long prayer. And Rufio just goes, grace. And then they all just eat really quickly. So anyway, Percy and Harry, I like their reaction to Dumbledore because Harry goes, is he mad? And Percy's like, he's the smartest and most amazing wizard ever. But yeah, he's a little mad. And then, but bam, all Harry's favorite foods appear on his plate. Katelynn, what would have been on your plate at the welcome feast? Your favorite food?
Okay, are we talking like out of what's listed here?
No,
because
no.
she
If
lists,
it matches to you, your favorite.
She lists a solid like 20 different.
Oh yeah, she goes on.
Honestly, last night I had probably like my favorite thing to ever eat, which is steak, salad with like a nice like very vinegar forward dressing.
Okay, vinegar forward.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
it's like more vinegary.
Okay. I never heard forward attached. Is that like at the front of the taste? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm learning.
And then Alfredo.
Ooh.
It's great, and my mom makes the Alfredo herself, so it's like even better.
No.
It's made with love.
It's made with love. I would have had Zaxby's wings and things.
Yes.
That's about it.
No, absolutely.
Tongue torch sauce with an extra cup of tongue torch.
Oh. Yeah.
And an extra thing of Zax sauce. Anyway. So they all eat, and Harry thinks a lie about the Dursleys. Like, he's been so traumatized, he can't even remember right. It says, the Dursleys never exactly starved Harry. And I wrote in all caps, you see it right here, lies. They definitely did. It even mentions, there'll be no meals for you for a week.
Yeah.
It's not okay, Harry. I'm sorry. A ghost gets jealous watching Harry eat, and we learn that he's nearly headless Nick. Nearly headless? How can you be nearly headless? Like this. We also learn why he's called that. And so, for anyone who doesn't know, he was beheaded unsuccessfully. This particular ghost was. He pulls his head to the side, and it's hanging by the little skin flap. There's still a little bit.
Just like a nasty visual to have while you're eating dinner.
Especially in the movie when you see that bit.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my gosh.
Anyways,
ghost
back to
entrails.
my steak and potatoes.
Yeah.
My bangers and mash.
My bangers and mash. Is that what steak and potatoes are?
No, bangers are sausage.
Oh,
So
okay.
sausage and potatoes.
I've been to the Harry Potter world in Orlando, and that's on the menu, but I always just give it like a cursory glance. I'm like, that doesn't look good at all. Keep it moving. I just did on a friend of mine and I, on Twitch, we play games sometimes. The other day, she made a whole PowerPoint slide of the most outrageous American foods because like half of our viewers aren't from here.
Oh.
And they make fun of us all the time for what we eat. So we went to bat for the stuff we eat. We were like, biscuits and gravy, that's the stuff. Fire. Straight fire. Then we got to like fruit and jello, and we were like, not that fire. There's some things that maybe we don't know.
Yeah, textural wise, not awesome.
But I got a little ticked off at one of my viewers. He's from Scotland, and he was talking about how good their food is, and we looked it up. And I love the memes that are like, the UK eats food like they're still living in the 1940s. Like the Germans are still flying over.
War.
They're beans on toast.
I've been to Ireland.
That's right.
And I'm sorry, we have any Irish listeners out here? Sorry about this, but y'all's breakfast is disgusting. I'm sorry. It's
Why
nasty.
do you say that?
They've got these little like puddings. They're called blood pudding.
Oh no!
It's disgusting. They're like black with white spots, and then there's
spotted dick.
Man, I think that's a different thing. Actually, I think they just have a lot of things that are spotted. I guess there's one that's like blood pudding, and one that's like I think it's liver, and it's the opposite of the blood pudding where it's white with like black spots. It's so nasty. I didn't even eat it because I was like, this just looks disgusting.
Oh my goodness!
But then they would also have beans, and I'm like, that's lunch or a barbecue thing.
Just listeners, Google beans on toast. It doesn't look good.
It's not good.
Yeah. So, but all that to say, there are plenty of foods that I'm sure you have that are better than what we eat. But listen, we have a crap ton of cultures here. All right, we get food from all over the place. But Before we tick off everybody, let's go ahead and move
let's
on.
stop annoying the British people.
Sorry, y'all. Thank you for Harry Potter.
Sorry, guys.
Let's see. Ghost gets Joey. Oh, I like that Nearly Headless Nick. At first, he gets annoyed because he goes up. He's wanting to talk to Harry, and he gets annoyed that he gets sidetracked talking about his name. But then he's like happy that he horrified the kids a little bit because it's a point of pride. Especially in book 2, we'll see that for a ghost to come off as scary. And so he's like, that makes it up for it anyway. When everybody's like, oh, he's gross and horrible. Cool. Nick says, anyway, hope y'all help us with the House Cup this year because we ain't won crap in a while. It's the longest that Gryffindors have gone without
6 years.
winning it.
That's almost as long as some of the kids are at Hogwarts.
That's right. So they probably since like Charlie was there. Charlie
Probably,
Weasley.
yeah.
He says the Bloody Baron, who is a Slytherin ghost, is becoming unbearable. And they all look over at the Bloody Baron, and Seamus asks, "Why is he all bloody?" And Nick's like, "Never asked."
I like that it says delicately. He's like, that's a touchy subject for the Bloody Baron, so we don't mention it, actually.
We'll save that for the restricted section. Do you remember why? You don't? Okay,
No, I haven't read the books in ages.
So anyway, now the dinner is done and dessert is served. People start talking about families. Seamus is a half-blood. Bit of a nasty shock for him when he found out.
I love how he says that in the movie. Your dad's a muggle, Mum's a witch. Bit of a nasty shock for him when he found out.
And everybody laughs. Neville's family, especially his great uncle, Algie, they're all thought like he ain't got no magic, and they all abused him too.
Yeah, right.
But they're all wizards, so he comes from a wizard family. The Longbottoms. Hermione and Percy are being some nerds and hoping that classes start right away.
Dorks.
They say forget the syllabus. Oh, they say forget syllabus day. That's a hard word. Let's just start right away because I don't know what it's like going over other places. In college, you start your first day. It's just syllabus day. They're like, "This is what we're going to do."
Syllabus week.
Yeah, for a lot of them
like
now.
For that first week, it's just kind of like, we're just going to chit chat for a little.
I'm like, no, let's get this ball rolling. Harry has a full tummy, and now he's getting quite sleepy. I understand. He looks up at the high table, notices Hagrid is not going easy on the drink, of course. McGonagall is talking to Dumby, and some other teacher is talking to Quirrell. And that teacher looks at Harry, and all of a sudden, Harry's scar hurts super bad. We learn that this teacher is Snape, and that he teaches potions. We also learn that he actually wants Quirrell's job, and Harry thinks, I don't think this teacher likes me. More about that later. Dumbledore gets up, and he talks some more. He says the forest is forbidden. No magic in the hallways. Filch wanted me to tell you all that. I would have done magic, but Filch doesn't want you to do magic.
Yeah, me personally.
I was cool with Filch, not so much. Quidditch tryouts will be next week. And don't forget, just thought you should know, third floor corridor is off limits to everybody who doesn't want to die a most painful death. And I really liked Harry's reaction to this because when Dumbledore first gets up there and he says his like nitwit oddment tweak or whatever, and he's like, the heck? And he didn't understand like Dumbledore was trying to be funny. And so here he goes, oh, he must be trying to be funny again. And so he laughs, but it says he's one of the only ones that does laugh. And he's like, oh, wait, he was serious? Like that was legit? And even Percy's like, yeah, I don't quite know what he's talking about. He should have told us prefects. And then in a big change of subject, Dumbledore is like, anyway, let's sing the school song. He's like, everybody will die most painful death. All right, let's sing.
And pick your favorite tune, too. Okay. There is no uniform term. It is a tune. It's just however you feel.
Mm-hmm.
However the spirit moves you to sing.
That's right. Whatever the spirit's bringing you to. We got some people doing a Holy Spirit run in the Great Hall.
Hogwarts.
I was going to ask you. It says you can sing it to whatever tune. Did you try doing that?
No, simply because I really don't know what tune I could do this to.
I'm so sorry for what I'm about to subject
what
you to.
Are you about to sing the song?
I'm about to sing.
Please.
I'm going to not look at you the whole time I'm singing because we're like at a small table very close. I don't want to just be singing right into your eyes. But
I'll look covered.
I tried it out. And so I did this like the first time we did this episode and I listened to it back. I was like, this sounds horrible. I'm going to do it again because I thought it could work.
Okay.
This song, because Dumbledore says, again, sing it to whatever tune you want. And people sing it to whatever tune. And I thought, I'm going to give it a try. You can sing this to the tune of We Three Kings, the Christmas song.
No.
Like, We Three Kings of Orient. So I was like, Hogwarts, Hogwarts, Hoggy, Hoggy, Hogwarts. Teach us something, please. Whether we be old and bald or young with scabby knees. Oh, you can do the whole thing.
No, honestly,
it actually works.
Could. I kind of like that.
Well, now they're bare and full of air. I was like, this is perfect.
It works.
So
I do like that it says, just do your best, we'll do the rest, and learn till our brains all rot.
yeah, because ultimately we're all going to die anyway,
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter. Yay!
Well, speaking of dying, the Weasley twins are the last ones to finish singing, and they sing it in a very slow funeral march.
That's right. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I wish they included that in the movie.
I know.
Because again,
the
spoiler
chorus.
alert, they do it in the fourth movie in a deleted scene. But
Really?
yeah, we'll talk about it later. But it did not fit with the vibe of the fourth movie. But it does fit with the vibe of the first. I thought maybe. Anyway, maybe Richard Harris couldn't do it. He was already a pretty old man at the time.
Yeah.
So they sing, and the Weasleys finish last because, like you said, they sing it to a funeral march. I like that Dumbledore eggs them on because he's waving his wand at them like, good for y'all. So anyway, they're all dismissed with an off you trot from Dumpy. Percy leads the Gryffindor first years up to the corridor, and Harry is tired and a full boy. He's tired and full boy, relatable. At one point, they run into Peeves, and he's throwing sticks at them. And when Percy asks him to reveal himself, there's potential that he farts. So, it says
a loud, rude sound.
Yeah, like a raspberry noise or whatever, but we don't see him. So Peeves might have farted on these kids.
So
Disgusting.
Evil,
Percy says, "Scram, or I'll go tell the Bloody Baron on you." Peeves but before he goes, he drops all the walking sticks on poor Neville. Aww. Finally get to the Gryffindor common room entrance. In front of them is a large portrait of a very large woman in a pink silk dress, Rocket Girl. She says, "Yo, what's the password?" Percy says, what does he say?
Caput Draconis.
Caput Draconis. And her portrait frame swings open and lets them in. Gryffindor common room is dope. It's got some comfy, squishy armchairs is what it says. It's night time, so everyone goes to their dorms. And Ron says the food was awesome. Then he yells at Scabbers for chewing on his sheets. Harry falls asleep and has an awful fever dream that may or may not be full of spoilers. He sees Quirrell wearing he's wearing a turban. He himself is. He sees Malfoy, Snape. There's a flash of green light. And the next day he forgets all about it very convenently. Yay!
Yay!
And that's the end of that chapter.
Woo,
Fantastic. Woo. So, favorite lines from chapter 1. What you got?
After they sing the song, the Hogwarts song, Dumbledore goes, music, he said, wiping his eyes, a magic beyond all we do here. And now, bedtime. Off you trot. And I think that's so cute. I do think this first book, and of course I don't remember the rest of them off the top of my head, but this first book really does show how much Dumbledore does love his job. Mm-hmm. He loves these kids. I mean, you mentioned earlier, he looks at them kind of with this he's so glad that they're there.
Yeah. There's a lot of Dumbledore hate out there, but to me, I'm all of his flaws are just, I think, for story reasons.
Yeah.
I think he loves these kiddos.
Yeah, I think so.
I had one. Harry had never imagined such a strange and splendid place. Whenever he was looking at the Great Hall and he sees all the candles everywhere, and I was just I love that for you. I want to be there. You got another one?
I do. Let me find it. I made a little mark. Oh, it's when they're looking at the Great Hall and they're seeing everything and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. This is so stunning." And Hermione points out that the sky, or the ceiling is bewitched to look like the sky outside. Mm-hmm. And then it says, "It was hard to believe there was a ceiling at all, and the Great Hall didn't simply open onto the heavens." And I think that is that's a cool description. It's a really cool description, and it really makes you see that's very powerful, magic. And this is something Harry's never seen before.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of emphasizes how freaking cool this whole place is.
I love that. Another one I have is a horrible thought struck Harry. This is when he's being sorted, right before he gets sorted. A horrible thought struck Harry, as horrible thoughts always do when you're very nervous. It's true. I get that.
Real.
Did you have any more?
No, honestly.
That's all right.
I love the ones that we picked out, though.
I'll rattle on a little more. Albus Dumbledore had gotten to his feet. He was beaming at the students, his arms open wide, as if nothing could have pleased him more than to see them all there. Did you see that one?
No, but that is what I was
Yeah, that's what we both meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just read that and I was like, wait a minute. We just talked about that. Yeah. No, but yes, for all the same reasons we said before. And then two more. I think you might have said one of them, actually. So everybody finished the song. Okay. Oh, so the one when they finish up the song at the end, I just liked where it said Dumbledore conducted their last few lines with his wand. And when they had finished, he was one of those who clapped loudest. Like, oh, that's so sweet.
He just loves like his students, and he does like you see later in the books, but he loves the Weasley twins simply because of how much of a mess they make.
You little rascals, you.
Literally.
And then my other favorite was what your favorite was. So on to our transfiguration section. For those who don't know, this is just changes that were made from book to movie. Now, again, we probably won't say everything because for the most part, most of these transfigurations are just omissions, like deletions, things that aren't included in the movie that were in the book. Because there's a lot more you can put in a book typically. But just off the top, one thing that they do different that in the book, students are sorted alphabetically. Mm-hmm. In the movie, it's just whatever. She's like, oh, why you with the red hair? Why not? Hand me down row. You must be a Weasley. She's like, don't even bother. You go right over there. Then there's no hat song in the movie, which is a shame.
A bummer.
Right? R.I.P. to the voice of the hat. He gone now. There's no Peeves in the movies, although he was cast and they filmed a few things with him, but then they got rid of him.
Oh.
And I forget, again, listeners, forgive me if I said this on a different one. I don't remember if I said this on first time I did this. Anyway, apparently he was so funny that like the kids just laughed too much. They could never actually do their
seriously?
thing. And so they didn't cast him. And I'm like, there's such a thing as being too good at your job. Like that's why he was fired. It's because he was too good at his job. But I think he'll be in the new TV series coming out soon.
Oh, sweet.
So yay. In the book, the hat is pulled over their eyes instead of like resting on top of the head. Like it goes whoop. So it's even more terrifying and invasive.
Yeah, I can't see anything and know what's going on.
So in the books and in the video games, when you go into the common room, it's typically, except the newest video game, the Hogwarts Legacy, but in the older ones, the common room entrance is like a cubby crawl-in hole, like something you got to actually get on all fours and crawl through. That's why, like later when McGonagall crawls through, they're like, "Whoa, that's crazy! She actually came in here, like into the clubhouse." But in the movie, it's just an open door. It's like a doorway. So I thought that was noticeable.
Interesting.
And then, another thing they do in the movie, they just make the Bloody Baron a joke. Like he is a terrifying thing in the book. He's walking around just awful and crazy backstory. We'll mention later.
Kind of shell-shocked, honestly, because I think they were like, yeah, he's just like blank eyes, gauntlet face.
He looks like Captain Hook in the movie when he comes in, when you see him like, woo-hoo-hoo. He's like waving his sword over the table. So of all these transfigurations, I think the one that I would have liked for them to have kept instead, like what I would have liked for the movies to have kept was Peeves. I would have liked Peeves to stay in.
Yeah, I think it could have been really fun and, maybe provided some much needed levity.
Yeah.
Later in the series.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
There are some moments where it's a bit too heavy. I'm like, I got to take a break.
All right, now on to our golden snitches section, which is just deep lore cut things the average fan or listener might not have known. So Peeves, he's not a ghost, he's a poltergeist. And a poltergeist is a manifestation of some feeling or an aura, I don't know, aura, as the kids say these days. He is a manifestation of all the rule breaking in Hogwarts. And so rather than being a ghost that can't touch things, he's actually like created out of all the chaos from kids like cheating, breaking school rules, stuff like that. So he's he can touch them. That's why he can pick up things. I'm over here picking up my water bottle. Listeners can't see that, but he's a poltergeist.
That's interesting.
So
I didn't realize that was like what created him, I guess. That's cool.
Yeah. And then another one, I made note of this, the original 40 list. Had you ever heard of this?
I have not.
The original 40 list, you can check it out on the Harry Potter website. J.K. Rowling had created, to begin with, in her notebook, a list of 40 names that she was like, these are going to be students, and she would write down like some of their backgrounds or ages or just fun facts about them, and she would refer to that often. And so everybody that we read that got sorted today was part of that original 40.
Cool.
So that's like a famous thing in her process of making this.
Oh, that's fun.
And then finally, for golden snitches for this section, hat stalls. So if somebody is being sorted for 5 minutes or longer, they're what is called a hat stall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, technically, there were no hat stalls in this section. There were two that were close. Neville and Hermione both were on there, I think it said, when you look it up, for 4 minutes. So almost 5. With Hermione, it was debating, and hat stall, it's because he can't decide what house you should go into. He's like, maybe this one, but then also this one could be dope. But Hermione he thinks, you could also be a good Ravenclaw. And she ends up going to Gryffindor because she chooses to. It says, when you look up the article, it says like she loved the like dope reputation that Gryffindor had. And she was like, I want to be part of that squad. And then Neville, he was the other one. And it said that he wanted to go to Hufflepuff. And it's funny. So like, later in the series, kind of spoiler, we'll hear that the hat takes your opinion into account.
Right. Yeah.
But not all the time. So like Neville really, and he was choosing Hufflepuff. He's like, put me in Hufflepuff, because he heard about Gryffindor's reputation and he was like, that's not me. I don't want to be brave. I don't want to get into trouble. I don't want to have to face down these circumstances. And so he was like, that ain't for me. And the hat's like, no, you're going, whether you like it or not. There's only one hat stall that is actually in this chapter talking a lot. And that was McGonagall. So it's not mentioned here, but when she was sorted, it was debating between Ravenclaw and Gryffindor. She ended up going into Gryffindor, as we all know. I'm not positive. Listeners can later correct me if they want. I think maybe Flitwick might have been a hat stall as well. And it's the same type of thing, either Gryffindor or Ravenclaw, and they went Ravenclaw. But that's all we got for your fun little golden snitches today. Moving on to Chapter 8, the Potions Master. So just some of my overall thoughts. It's a quick chapter, very quick.
It is.
But I like the run through of all the classes and the daily life feel of all of it. And really, that's one of my reasons for continuously coming back to the Harry Potter franchise is just, I love the slice of life stuff in Harry Potter.
Yeah, they have a lot of that in the first couple books and like movies. I think that's also why I really like those first two.
Just chilling in class.
Yeah, because
it's not so much plot. Like it's tucked in a little bit.
It's good. It's good. Like hints of plot, but you are getting like, we're going to classes, we're hanging out in the dining hall, like that type of stuff, and I like that stuff.
Yeah. So people are just whispering about Harry in the halls. Poor little famous Harry just wants to find his way to class, which is hard to do when there's 142 staircases that keep moving.
Some with vanishing steps and that lead to different places on Fridays.
That's right. That's right.
Won't open.
He's like, these ghosts suck too. They keep telling me the wrong way to go. They tick off Filch, and Filch has a snitch for a cat, and everyone wants to kick her. So I said that they tick off. It's because I think they accidentally showed up in front of the third floor corridor, and Filch is like, you were trying to get in there, and they're like, no, we just don't know where we're going. It's Friday. It went somewhere different.
It's been like 3 days that we've been here, man.
So anyway. I wrote foreshadowing about the Weasleys. So Filch knew the secret passageways of the school better than anyone, except perhaps the Weasley twins. So foreshadowing, I'm not going to say it here. Maybe we'll learn later. Harry quickly learns there's more to magic than some wand work. He's got to learn astrology, what is your star sign? Do you know?
I'm an Aquarius.
You're an Aquarius. I'm a Taurus. I'm a Taurus. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I really don't know either.
The only reason I care to know was because anytime on Instagram you're sliding, it says your star sign is your vacation. Or
yes, I love those.
Yours is your superpower or your medieval castle.
I've seen ones also that are they take pictures of little animals and stuff. Little two animals together, and they're like, this is you and this other star sign's vibe. And it's Pisces and Aquarius or whatever.
Do you know what your boyfriend's is?
Pisces.
And you're just two little puppies playing.
Yeah.
So anyway, astrology, no wand work there, just looking at some stars and stuff. Then you got herbology, where he's taking care of plants. You also got...
I think it's astronomy. that they're doing, not astrology.
I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're right. It is astronomy.
It's astronomy.
It is astronomy. So this is your podcast now.
Okay. So then they talk.
Crap. There's also History of Magic with Professor Beans, and I love Beans. It's also sad that he's not included in the movies.
I know.
The movies are anti-ghost.
They really
They're anti-ghost. They're trying to make the ghosts that are there look dumb, and then the other ones are just not including.
Yeah. Although I think we probably would have been really bored if Professor Beans was in it, because they are he's so boring.
But it's so cool, like how he became a ghost. It said he was just teaching, or no, he was sitting in the staff room one day, and he died sitting in that armchair, and his spirit, like his ghost, just stood up and went to class and kept teaching. I want to know who's moving his papers and stuff. Like, how does he grade? Like, how does he get?
He probably is a TA.
TA.
Yeah.
Who is his TA? I want. You know how they made the author of Twilight? What's her name?
Stephanie Meyer.
Stephanie Meyer, maybe. Sorry if we're wrong. She made Twilight like from the perspective of Edward. Like she made that.
Yeah.
We get Harry Potter from the perspective of Benz's TA.
I like that.
So here's some other classes. We got Charms with Litwick. That's what I like to call them. We got Tightwad McGonagall teaching Transfiguration. I heard she can do pig magic. That's cool. I think she turns her desk into a pig.
Yeah, she does.
She got pig magic.
I like that they're like, all the students were really impressed and they were really excited about that. And then they're like, oh, but we're not making our desk into pigs right now. We're making matches into needles.
And Hermione's the only one that can actually get close to doing it. I think it said she turned her match silver or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's important to note.
That's my girl right there.
Yeah, it's important to note because she is Muggle-born. And she's the one that's like doing the best of this year. So they also go to Defense Against the Dark Arts. Professor Quirrell, his classroom smells like garlic, and so does his turban. That's disgusting. He also can't really answer many questions. He's just like...
Well, I like that they're like, oh yeah, just randomly dropping out there are vampires in this.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, they're vampires. We never hear anything about it later. Then they also say his turban had been given to him by an African prince as a thank you for getting rid of a troublesome zombie. I'm sorry, there are zombies in this? I'm sorry. We mentioned zombies once in the first book, and then we never mentioned them again. I'm pretty sure.
It's funny because so much of this book, like little fun facts, get brought up again in the 6th book. So like the Professor Slughorn's Christmas party in the book, there's a vampire there. And with there's talk about zombies in the book. And then later with the stuff that Snape mentions, a lot of that gets brought back in the 6th book as well. Those different potions. So you pretty much forget like this kind of, but that is funny that especially the vampire and zombies is like, oh, it's that big of a fantasy. I didn't even know. I thought it was just kids at school.
We're getting it all.
There's dragons. I said... Harry doesn't really know much, but he's okay with that because it seems that everybody else doesn't know anything either. That's very comforting. It's like, oh, it's not just me. Oh, thank God.
Right.
I like the reason for why Friday is an important day. Why did I say that? What happens on Friday?
They finally managed to get their way down to the Great Hall for breakfast without getting lost.
Yeah, they get there because they're like, oh, we actually figured it out today.
It's exciting, man. That's a feat.
Oh, and then I wrote this. Speaking of British food, what have we got today? Harry asked Ron as he poured sugar on his porridge. Is that like cereal? What are you talking about when you say porridge?
Because when I hear the word porridge, I think oatmeal. And like, do I like a brown sugar oatmeal? Yes, I do.
That makes better sense.
But when I put normal sugar on my plain oatmeal, no, probably not. That seems kind of gross.
It's probably brown sugar on it. Let's just assume that.
Because otherwise it's nasty.
Okay, that works. Because in my head, what I thought of, American, never really been out of the country. I only know British from book and TV and movie. When I think of porridge, I think of Willy Wonka, and they're having like the cabbage porridge or whatever.
Oh,
and so I'm like, they're putting sugar in soup? That's what I thought.
No, that's a fair assumption. That's nasty.
Anyway, that's disgusting. And Ron says they got double potions with Snape, and nobody's excited about that. Snape is head of Slytherin, and he favors the Slytherins, and Harry wishes McGoogles would do the same thing for them, but nope. A bunch of, or rather a peck of owls, I like that, a peck of owls comes streaming into the Great Hall. I did notice it did not say that they came through the window. And now I'm wondering, did they come through the front door? So like in the movies, you know, they
Oh,
come
yeah,
flying in through
yeah,
those
through the
rafters and the windows and stuff. And I'm like, is it like that? Or is it, which is very whimsical, or is it this terrifying rush of owls through the front door?
Front
Like,
door.
ah!
I kind of like the front door a little bit better than I do the whimsical version of
I kind of do too. Like, everybody get down, the owls are coming. So anyway, Harry doesn't usually get mail, but today Hedwig comes in just to check on him, eat some food. Oh, and is that all I said? I thought she left it. Oh, she did leave.
She did leave
Okay.
that one.
I'm looking at these old notes like I was going somewhere with this. Hedwig comes in to check on him. She eats some of his food. And then she goes off to nap. I love that. So she goes off to the owlery to sleep with all the others. Awesome life as an owl.
Man, truly an ideal.
Yeah. But today, Harry's got mail. Oh, I remember I'm going to edit all this, but like what I had wrote was usually she comes in just to check on him, nibbles his ear, eats some food, and then goes off to nap. But today he's got mail. We figured it out.
Yeah, we
journey.
did. You know what?
It's from Hagrid. We just got a letter. It's from Hagrid saying, "Hey, bro, let's have some tea later. Check yes or no." And Harry's like, "Check yes." And off Hedwig goes with the letter. Potions is a big old poop show. And Harry says, "Yep, Snape definitely hates me." And we all love that line of Harry wondering if Snape didn't like him. Turns out Snape hated him. Potions class takes place down in the dungeon. Snape starts off by dunking on the kids, saying they probably won't understand nothing about his class. But if they're not a bunch of dunderheads like he usually gets, they might learn something. And without warning or prompting, he's the one that draws first blood. He starts grilling Harry, asking him questions about potions that Harry does not know the answer to. And there's a sad moment. I really felt bad for Harry here. He goes, sad moment where Snape says, "Thought you wouldn't open a book, Potter." And Harry thinks, "I did look at the books, but I don't remember everything." I get that. Like as a kid who actually, the times you would actually do your homework, you actually do the reading, and the questions are things you didn't remember. It's like, but I did it this time.
Guys, I promise.
I deserve the reward. As somebody who didn't often do the homework, it's like, I actually did it. I should be rewarded. But Harry gets back at Snape by saying that he should try asking Hermione. I do love that. Awesome scene. It was filmed, but it's a deleted scene in the movie where Harry's like, "I don't know, but you should try Hermione." The class like high fives. They're like, "Good job, Harry." Seamus gives him a little wink. Snape isn't impressed, though. Gives them all the business, tells them to write down stuff, and he takes a point from Gryffindor for Harry's cheek. They all get to work making a potion to cure boils. Snape only seems to like Malfoy, and Neville ends up ruining his potion, and it melts the cauldron, and the potion starts going everywhere and burning his shoes,
It
burning
melts
the other kids' shoes.
Seamus's cauldron, which I think is like, oh man, imagine not only melting a cauldron, but melting like your buddy's
Wasn't even
cauldron.
yours.
It's
I'd be
like,
like,
damn, I'm
bro.
so sorry, dude.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice, and you just ruined my
I know,
cauldron.
Seamus is over here like, I could have blown that up.
I could have blown
That's a
that.
perfectly good cauldron I could have blown up.
That's
Instead,
right.
you melted it.
You took this from me.
Thanks, man.
And they were never friends again. So anyway, Snape calls Neville an idiot, like any
Aw.
good teacher would do.
Right.
And he tells Seamus to take him to the hospital wing. Snape also does some impressive mental gymnastics to blame Harry for this. He's like, "You were just trying to make yourself look better. You should have told him." And he takes more points from Gryffindor, and then class ends. They leave class, and Harry is super bummed, but Ron's like, "Don't worry about it, bro. Can I come and meet Hagrid?" And I like that. There's a lot of good Ron moments in the books.
There really is.
And he's like distracting. He goes, "Hey, don't even worry about it, bro. Hey, you got your friend Haggy? I want to go meet him too.
I want to meet our boy."
I'm going to take me to him." And I like this. A good Ron moment. They go to meet Haggy, and we find out that he's a dog person. He's got a good boy named Fang, who was almost named Voldemort Jr. Did you know about this?
No way. No way.
Okay. Let me explain
Please.
before you freak out. Have you ever heard of Hogwarts Mystery?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's for anybody who doesn't know, it's a phone game that you can play, and there's actually quite a good bit of lore and stuff you can and a lot of journeys and adventures you can go on in this game. It's a mobile game, and it takes place like in the years just before Harry gets there. So you're like there 6 or 7 years before Harry, so like the 80s, and this is when Hagrid gets Fang, and there's a quest where you like help him get Fang or something like that.
Yeah.
And then at one point, once it's over, he goes, "Would you like to name him? Or would you like to help me name him?" And there's 4 options. And I just remember that one of them's Fang, and one of the options is Voldemort Jr. And if you click on Voldemort Jr., Hagrid goes, this is all secondhand info, so maybe not. But he apparently he says, how about we go with Fang? Like that, let's not do that one. And I think whatever you click, he goes, let's go with Fang. One of those people that ask for your advice, but they know they were going to.
They're not going to take it.
They know what they were going to do from the begin with. But anyway, so they meet good boy Fang. Hagrid lets them into his hut. Fang licks Ron's ears, and they all enjoy some of Hagrid's rock cakes, and they chit chat. Harry and Ron get hype when Hagrid dunks on Filch and Mrs. Norris, says, I'd like to kick her or something. Or no, what is it?
I'd like to introduce her to Fang.
That's right. I'd like to introduce her to Fang. Like, yeah, teachers adults making fun of adults.
He wants that cat dead.
Mm-hmm. Dead. And Hagrid is a little not believable when he says that Snape doesn't have a reason to hate Harry. Says he's like a little shifty and moving on from the subject too quickly. For the first time, Harry catches someone doing one of these change of subjects. So I don't know how much of the first book you've read recently. Having gone through the whole thing now, there's so many of these moments where people are like, oh yeah, you got this, and this, and then drop a huge bit of important information like somebody stole something from Gringotts, or third floor corridor might lead to death. Anyway, have some toast. Like, and they just change it really quickly. And so this is another one of those moments where Hagrid's just like, so anyway, your brother Charlie, how's he doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, while Ron and Haggy talk, Harry looks at the newspaper. The article Harry sees is about the previously mentioned break-in at Gringotts, and the goblins are still saying nothing was taken and no more questions. What's that one line?
But keep your noses out of it if you know what's good for you.
That's right. Yeah, if you know what's good for you, Sherry. Harry finally puts two and two together. He's like, yo, Hags, we were there that day, and we almost got robbed. That's crazy. Hagrid kind of ignores Harry here, which is a great tactic. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. And Harry thinks afterwards that maybe whatever that small package Hagrid got was a little more important than he thought to begin with. And there we go. So that's the end of Chapter 8, The Potions Master. So let's hop into it.
Quick one.
Yeah.
Wait.
So favorite lines. You got any from this chapter?
I do, actually. Let me search through. I actually, while we were doing this, I found a couple others that I like. I guess I like more like sections than I do specific lines. But at the very beginning, where it's just a bunch of dialogue from other students who were like, dude, look over there. Mm-hmm. Dude, that's Harry Potter. I think that's really cool. And it really shows that Harry is an incredibly popular person. And he's just not really sure what to do about that.
And he's a thirst to prove yourself.
I don't really know what all this means, but I'm glad people like me.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm glad people know who I am.
Starting off right.
Exactly.
Potter privilege.
Exactly. So I like that little section. I think that's cool.
Very good. I obviously had to write down the line. It's only 3 words in all caps. Peeves talking. Got your conch. Got your conch. Got your nose. So yeah, I like that. Got your conch. And again, just because I like Peeves, and he's so silly. Such a silly boy. I don't like him in Hogwarts Legacy, though.
No?
Have you seen him in Hogwarts Legacy? Mm-mm. He is like this super creepy, multicolored, like pink, purple, red, clown-looking jester thing. Oh. And that's just not how I pictured him, but it's also like extremely creepy. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
I love that.
What's another one you got?
Obviously, I love any moments where Harry is being really sarcastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, throughout this whole thing with Snape, Hermione, her hand is like getting progressively higher in the air. And I like that little bit where he goes, I think Hermione does. So why don't you ask her?
Please,
he's
be
like,
my guest.
Please, I don't know what the answer is, but clearly you've got the student over here who's ready to rip her arm off to get your attention. So please ask her a question.
Yeah, sassy Harry is wonderful in these books.
It's just the best. Wonderful. They really kind of, the first couple movies are pretty solidly sassy, but they really kind of dumb it down a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit of a whitewashing of just like plain attitude almost. I still love him. Don't get me wrong. Still love Harry. He's my favorite character all throughout.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of it is a little. I think it's because like they were just trying to make him so pure, you know.
Yeah.
But a little sass never hurt nobody.
No, exactly.
I liked at the start of term banquet, and we said this before. Harry had gotten the idea that Professor Snape disliked him. By the end of the first potions lesson, he knew he'd been wrong. Snape didn't dislike Harry. He hated him. Like italics, and hated is in italics, and that's funny. And again, a little bit of misdirection and then funny. Did you have any more?
Actually, at the very end, so like they were mentioning that the rock cakes were hard and almost broke their teeth. But at the last paragraph, as Harry and Ron walked back to the castle for dinner, their pockets weighed down with rock cakes they'd been too polite to refuse. And then it says some more stuff. But I just like that little bit. Like, they're just like some sweet little like 11-year-olds who were like, Hagrid offers them these awful cakes, and they're like, yeah, of course.
Of course.
We love some rock cakes.
My last favorite line as well is shortly after the one I just said of Snape hating him. So it's in the potions class. When he's first looking at Snape, I just thought this sounded really cool. He's describing Snape, and he says, his eyes were black like Hagrid's, but they had none of Hagrid's warmth. Which is very cool. Like in movies and not in movies, in books, they talk about people's eyes a lot of like, you know, very warm eyes, very kind eyes, or mystical or whatever. And it's really cool to me. I always wanted to be like, man, I wish my eyes had warmth, or I wish my eyes carried wisdom, or had a twinkle. Yeah.
Like, that's just cool.
Which I'm one of those people that like, when I'm talking with somebody and they have cool eyes, like I have to tell them. So I don't know if it ever comes off as weird or not. I'm always like, I don't know if you know this. She got really cool eyes.
No,
like,
I think like, I don't know, man. I think compliments like that, not to get all whatever, but I think that's like part of a human connection.
Yeah.
Is just giving little compliments and stuff like, man, your hair looks great today. Like, you have a great outfit on or something like that. I love doing stuff like that to people. And
and you know what? Now that I feel much more able to do that now that I'm married. Like, I feel like it comes across as like, I don't have an ulterior motive. You know, I'm like, I swear, I just thought it would look cool. All right. You're just having a good hair day. I didn't mean nothing by it. Anyway, back to the podcast. So that's all my favorite lines. That's all I had. Did you have any more?
No, I mean, actually, oh man, I lost it. I didn't write it down.
Oh man,
I didn't write it down. Oh. After Harry gets Hagrid's letter, he says, "Yes, please." When he writes it back to send it back to Hagrid with Hedwig, he goes, "Yes, please. See you later."
Just checking that. Yes.
He's like so excited.
Oh. So on to our transfiguration section. Again, changes that the movie made from the book. So first of all, there is no missing steps. So like the vanishing steps on the stairs.
Yeah.
We don't have that in the movie.
Well, they were also saying that like some of them, like searching through, some of them are like narrow and rickety and like.
Yeah, they're very uniform in the movie.
They're all very much marble staircases in the movie. But I think it would have been really cool to see like metal staircases or wood staircases or
easy
like,
for the editors. copy paste.
Probably make it easy for them.
There's also no Professor Binns. We talked about that. And I don't think they ever go to astronomy class. They never do that.
No, I don't think they do.
Although they go to the tower, the astronomy tower, quite a good bit. So it is in there. Harry saying you should ask Hermione, talking to Snape, like, I don't know, why don't you try her? Like we said, that's a deleted scene.
Yeah.
It's not actually in the movie, but so that is technically a change, I guess you would say. And it's sad because I think, you know, in this scene, you know, there's a rivalry between Harry and Snape. And again, you read this and you're like, Snape's 100% in the wrong. You know, he should not be doing this to a kid. Right. Especially, like I said, he drew first blood. Harry wasn't doing nothing. He just showed up and was like, on site. You know, I do like that Harry does have a bit of insult back because it somewhat justifies a little bit of rivalry back and forth.
Yeah.
And then I wrote, I mean, kind of the same idea. I wrote Snape is a lot worse in the books than the movie. Like as you go throughout,
like straight up evil in the books.
He really is.
He's just like an awful guy, and there's a ton of people online who love Snape.
I love movie Snape.
Oh, movie! I do like movie
Alan
Snape,
Rickman,
but I mean, like people are like obsessed with Snape.
I think a reason I would say is because he like this fantasy series is the intro to reading for a lot of people. And so it's kind of like your first taste of a gray character. It's the first time you see something that like somebody with that's intricate Although I don't think it's that.
No, not really.
But you know, somebody who has, again, we won't get too much into it, but somebody who is not always what they seem. That'd be my guess.
Probably.
So.
I do think it is a really good way to introduce to like kids the fact that like not every character will be black and white. Not every character is going to be 100% good or 100% bad. I mean, Harry has moments in these books where you're like, oh, dude, like that wasn't like a great move. But it's important, I think, obviously, for like kids to like read stuff like that. I mean, like we were talking about Percy Jackson earlier, and I think they do a pretty good job with that too. I mean,
you can't trust a single adult in that book.
No, you can't. I mean, and you kind of really can't trust an adult in this. Like, you know, Dumbledore is like a good guy, but he does some of his actions are questionable. The way he goes about things are questionable.
He always has good intent, though.
There's good intent, but not telling Harry anything, like that's not great.
Hey, I'll say it worked out in the end.
It did.
The spoiler. All right, golden snitches. Snitches. Okay, so there is a theory about Filch being a poltergeist himself, and so obviously it's odd that this squib. It's odd that he's the caretaker. He can't do magic. Why is it that he's here?
Right.
And there is some theory. I think I heard it from the Super Carlin brothers. They host the Gryffindor podcast. Great podcast. Check it out, people. But there is this theory that Filch himself is a poltergeist, and that he's like the opposite of Peeves. So Peeves is the manifestation of all the rule breaking. Filch is the manifestation of all rule following. Which is also why he can't do magic, because magic is like against the rules. Like it exists outside of the natural order. It's supernatural. So he is completely natural. And I think that's a cool theory.
I do like that.
Yeah. I don't think it's true, but I think it's a dope theory.
But
I mean, it's a made up story. None of it's true. So whatever.
So I really care.
Okay. We also have, so while Professor Binns, while they were in his class, they mentioned two people that everybody would get confused. Emmerich the Evil and Egbert the Egregious, Emmerich the Evil and Ulrich the Oddball. Sorry, words are hard. I'm a professional talker. So Emmerich the Evil, he owned a super powerful wand. Maybe we'll learn more about that wand. And he terrorized many people in the south of England, and he was killed in a very gruesome manner by Egbert the Egregious in the Middle Ages. So there you go. There's that. And then Ulrich the Oddball, very odd guy, as his name would suggest. He is from the Middle Ages, weird fellow, and who wore a jellyfish for a hat. And he slept in a room with 50 pet auguries, which are birds. He was a Ravenclaw, and at one point, he thought that he died, and that he was a ghost. And so he tried to get up and walk through a wall, but he just walked into the wall.
Yeah.
So there you go, Ulrich the Oddball. Name your next.
Make someone an odd.
That would do it.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Okay, and that's all I got for the golden snitches. So
sweet.
Yeah, fantastic. So here's what we're going to do now. We just wrapped up chapters 7 and 8. So we're going to move on to our restricted section. So for anybody who doesn't want spoiler talk, anybody that doesn't want to know what happens in the future, or if you're just like, holy crap, this podcast has gone on a while, let me take a break, get on out of here, get going. We don't want to spoil you. Third floor corridor, off limits to those who don't want to die a painful death. You've been warned. All right, it's Forbidden Forest, this restricted section. Yeah. So here we are. All right, everybody, all the super cool people are here now.
Look at the cool guys over here.
I love those memes that are like, it'd be like, all right, for any boys that don't like, or all the boys, you need to leave now. This is girl talk. And then she'll mention only. Like some cool boy thing, and then she goes, all right, now that the boys are, or no, she mentions a weird girl thing, like, anyway, like, you ever get your cramp? And okay, now that the boys are actually gone. And then she does it like 4 more times, and then she goes, Anyway, so what we were going to talk about. But anyway, restricted section. So I'll say a few things, and if there's anything you wanted to mention, we'll get going. So first one I wanted to bring up is that when the hat is on top of Harry and it sees like he might be good in Slytherin, I know that there was a thirst to prove himself, and that, that can be kind of a Slytherin quality of ambitious.
Right.
But I'm wondering if the hat saw Harry or the Horcrux inside of Harry.
I think it's probably like a little bit of both.
Able to see both minds in there.
I think like obviously we don't know much about it at this point, and so we're just like, well, like maybe the hat doesn't really know what they're talking about. But I do agree with that like idea that like, well, maybe it's that little Horcrux that we got going on in there.
Yeah, that's why I was like Gryffindor, but also you possess the most evil being in the world inside of you. Okay, you might be good as Slytherin.
You might be good at that. Yeah,
They're going through that right now. This is their evil arc. Okay, and then I also had the vanishing step. It does come back later in the books. Like it plays a big plot point in book 4 when Harry is sneaking back to his room after having just figured out what the clue from the golden egg was. He gets caught in there, drops his egg, and it falls down the stairs. And he only has the cloak on top of him. And there's this whole kerfluffle where, fake Moody and Snape and Filch show up, and he's all hidden there, and he's stuck in the staircase the whole time, and he can't move. So it is significant. Huh. And in this book, Neville gets stuck there a lot. We know why the Bloody Baron is so bloody. And so the reason is because the ghost of Ravenclaw, the Grey Lady, she had I'm not going to remember this exactly, but she had like a relationship with the Bloody Baron, or at least, I think at the very least, he really wanted her. So it might not have been a relationship. He wanted her, and she refused to marry him. And so he kills her because he can't be with. He's like, it's one of those, if I can't have you, nobody can. And the blood on his robes is her blood. And so then he's like, you know what? Shouldn't have done that. So he kills himself.
Oh my God. It was like a murder-suicide.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
In a children's book of all books.
We don't see that till book 7. We don't learn that till then. Yeah. Everybody's adult by then. So anyway, that's why the Bloody Baron's so bloody. And then I have this one here. So they talk about why is Snape, like why does he want the Defense Against the Dark Arts job? Why is he, and the question arises, if he always wants it, why is he not given the job? Why was it given to this young Professor Quirrell? And we find out later that Dumbledore was somewhat worried that Snape might relapse into like an obsession with the dark arts if he did this. What did I write here? Oh yeah, movie 4 singing. That's what I wrote. So it's we talked about how they actually in movie 4 they do the singing.
They do,
and it's a deleted scene. So, and it's meant to be like in movie 4 when Durmstrang comes in, or Durmstrang, however you say it, and Beauxbaton comes in. Bobat, I don't know these words. However you say them. When they go in, they do their show. And they're like, Durmstrang's like doing flips and acrobats and stuff. Right. Beauxbaton come in, like pirouettes.
Doing, ballet.
Yeah. Dumbledore's like, let's show them what we do.
Teach us something, please.
It's really funny. Listeners, please check it out on YouTube. But in the scene, he's straight up, he does like the bouncing ball follow along thing with the word, and like he puts up the words in midair, and he just has them all sing. And I do like though that in that scene, the guests are all like, that's kind of weird. Like, what's going on? And you see Malfoy, and he's like, I hate that I have to do this. But all the other students are like, this is fun. We sing. We like our singing. And it is later included in the movie, in movie 4, when like you actually hear the characters singing in a scene that they kept when they are walking through the woods right before they see dead Barty Crouch, and Harry walks off by himself, and Hagrid is with Ron and Hermione, and he's like, and Harry, soon to be the youngest Triwizard champion that's ever been. Yay! And then him, Hermione, and Ron just start singing while Harry sees a corpse. Literally, he's looking at a corpse, and you just hear in the background, Hogwarts, Hogwarts, Hoggy, Hoggy, Hogwarts. It's a wild decision. And that's basically, I think that's all of the restricted sections I had. I'll take a quick glance through my notes just to see. Did you have anything you wanted to mention over here?
I kind of like how throughout this chapter, they are hinting at it being Quirrell who's the bad dude.
Mm-hmm.
But they're making it look to us, and obviously to Harry, that it is Snape. I mean, there's a section in the 7th chapter where Snape looks at Harry, and he's sitting next to Quirrell, and he gets the pain in his head, his scar. And obviously, like, your thinking is, like,
Snape a baddie.
Snape's a bad dude. You get that throughout. And then, I mean, the very next chapter, he's, like, targeting Harry specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And Quirrell is just this like chill dude who like fought off a vampire and a zombie.
Maybe
Theoretically. But I think it's really interesting, and obviously you see that throughout the book, and Harry's never really fully convinced that Snape isn't against him, even after we find out that he's not in this book.
Yeah, and I love in book 6 when he's claiming like Snape's bad against, or no, it's Malfoy and Snape, and he's like, I swear they're both bad. They're both bad, and every single book, neither of them is bad until that book where
Never
they both
have been.
Yeah, and I love how that plays out with Quirrell's head which has Voldemort on it, is facing Harry.
Yeah.
And that's when he feels the pain. Good call out. Yeah, I forgot about that. So I didn't have any other restricted section stuff. That's about it for me. You don't got anything else? Fantastic. Well, before we wrap up, I just want to say, Katelynn, thank you so much for coming on and being on this episode.
Me. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a really good time. You know your Harry Potter stuff. Listeners, thank you for listening. Before we go, sometimes I ask my guests, is there anything you want to plug? Is there anything you want to mention? Shout out your socials or TV show you want people to watch? I don't know.
I don't really have anything to shout out. I will say that if anyone has a series similar to Harry Potter that I can watch, I would be happy to listen to any recommendations, because me and my boyfriend need a new movie series to watch.
Okay.
We were on Harry Potter. We've been watching The West Wing periodically because I work in politics, and so I force him to watch it, and he actually really likes it. But we want something that's not politics to watch when we're hanging out. So if anyone's got any fun ideas, I would love to hear it.
I love that. Like, what a mark of wisdom. I ask you, would you like to recommend anything? And you go, actually, could I get some recommendations?
I don't have anything.
Cool.
I don't have anything going on. But I will say, if you want a recommendation, I will say watch The West Wing, because I do think it is my favorite TV show.
Very cool. I've never seen it.
It's great. It's my favorite TV show.
Is that the one about the robots?
No,
people
not
are
at
robots?
all. Not at all.
What am I thinking of?
I have no
the HBO
idea.
show where people are robots. And
Westworld.
Well, that's it. That's right.
Definitely very different from West Wing,
Okay.
which follows the president and his senior staff.
Not the same.
No, not.
The same.
Very different. Unless all of a sudden that last season took a really crazy turn. But
I think my favorite fantasy movie series, obviously, you got Lord of the Rings. I know your brothers are obsessed with Lord of the
my
Rings.
brothers are very much obsessed with it. My boyfriend hates Lord of the Rings.
No.
He hates it. I love The Hobbit.
Uh-huh.
I love that because it's very cozy. It kind of gives that same vibe of the first two Harry Potter books. He will not watch that with me.
Really?
Yeah. So if you've got anything that's not Lord of the Rings or Hobbit.
So the other one, my other fantasy series that I rewatch every year multiple times, I'm obsessed with, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, I gotta be honest, I haven't seen them, so I will put that on my list.
Yeah, so movie 1 is standalone. It's amazing. It's a classic. Very well critically acclaimed. Movies 2 and 3 go together, and 1 through 3 kind of wrap up the trilogy. 4 and 5 are like separate standalone stories almost. But yes.
Okay.
Well, there's 5 of them.
Oh, that's perfect.
Very good.
I love a longer series too, for me.
Anyway, skipping all to the end of that now. Katelynn, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
We will, I don't know how much listeners will hear of what we just talked about. We just basically said, check out Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Anyway, listeners, thank you for listening. Katelynn, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next week for chapters 9 and 10. I believe they are called The Midnight Duel and Quidditch. I think that's what's next week. Quidditch.
You're getting into Quidditch?
Quidditch. 9 and 10. No, it's not. It's The Midnight Duel and Halloween. Guys, I'm a Harry Potter fan. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Retold. Artwork for this podcast was created by Rachel Ortlip. Music was created by Taylor Jarvis. And the Retold podcast is produced by me. That's right. I made this.